What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. You know who I am. Welcome back to another episode of Film Stock Reviews. In this episode, I'm reviewing Mank. Mank is directed by David Fincher with a screenplay by his late father, Jack Fincher, and the movie stars Gary Oldman as Herman J. Mankiewicz in the title role, Amanda Seyfried, Lily Collins, and Charles Dance as William Randolph Hearst. Now, from the start, you think that what this movie is, you're not too sure about, and if you don't know old Hollywood, then you don't know what you're missing. It starts off by saying that Herman J. Mankiewicz is injured in a car accident, and he is called upon by Orson Welles to write Citizen Kane. The name of the movie, what he's writing, is not mentioned, but we know it is Citizen Kane because it's one of the greatest movies of all time, and you could argue that it's not. If it is, let me know in the comment section below. Gary Oldman gives a stellar performance as Mankiewicz, and it's really good to see. The black and white aspect of the filmmaking is phenomenal. There are not many black and white movies today that are seen, but I don't think this movie could have been made in color. How this movie was produced, how this movie was written is really fantastic. David Fincher is a very, very underrated director, and it goes to show with this movie. I love the screen titles that come up during each new scene. It's like a script, it says interior, day, 1934, flashback, exterior, night, 1942, flashback. It goes back and forth with time from Herman J. Mankiewicz's partying days with William Randolph Hearst to now as he's writing Citizen Kane. It's back and forth, and it goes to show the trials and tribulations that he goes through in order to try to get this script done. He's given 90 days by Orson Welles, but then it's cut down to 60 days. 60 days to write a 200-page script is mind-blowing, so to speak. Being a screenwriter myself, an up-and-coming screenwriter, it's very hard to do a screenplay that's almost 200 pages in 60 days. But Herman J. Mankiewicz, does that, and then people read it, and then obviously after one another, he tells people, what can he do? Does he get it done? Is it a good story? He himself believes that he wrote the best story of his life, and it goes to show that he does. There is a back and forth tiff between Orson Welles, and if you don't know the history between the two of them, read into it because it's really interesting. And the whole time we try and see how Herman J. Mankiewicz, works at the movie studio, the friends he has, the friends he loses, the friends he gains, and also his, brother Joseph Mankiewicz is also in this as a title character, and how Louis B. Mayer from Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer is one of those, villains who parties with William Randolph Hearst. If you want to know who the villain is in this, I believe it's William Randolph Hearst, because back in the day he was a newspaper mogul, and they say that Citizen Kane is based off of him, but they couldn't prove it. Some of the things that happen in this movie, who knows if it's real or if it was just made up for this movie in itself. Now, this movie was written in the late 90s by David Fincher's father, Jack Fincher, and was supposed to be produced in the 90s and early 2000s, but it didn't get its recognition until David Fincher picked it up and produced it and started filming it in 2019. The movie was released on Netflix in 2020, and it's really fantastic. The cinematography is great. You can tell the subtle images of green screen that they use, and the movie moves forward over and over. Whenever Gary Oldman is on screen, it's really good. I could say that he's in every single scene in this movie, and it's really fun to watch. There are some scenes that are drawn out with dialogue, which is not good, but it plays into the story, so it makes up for it. The other aspect of this I liked, like I said, is seeing the old time, 30s and 40s look and feel of Hollywood. We see the movie studio, we see the backlots, and that's it. And we see how, the movies worked back in the day, and how Herman is, helping his younger brother, Joseph, get into the business and do certain things with MGM, to produce things, to direct things, to even write things. So it's really interesting to see what this story is. And the good thing about this is that, not much is given away in the trailer for this movie. I did react to it, and I'll leave a link to that in the description box below, and you can check it out. The movie is 2 hours and 12 minutes long. It's a quick watch, but if you're not into movies like this, if you're not into black and white films, or modern day black and white films, then it's not really a movie for you. But if you like the history of filmmaking, the history of what that happened during the time of when Citizen Kane was being made, then this is a movie to check out. The character of Orson Welles in this is not really prominent as I thought it would be, and that's really good because Orson Welles in his own right was such a, out there human being. He was so boisterous in that, Citizen Kane was his movie picture. He was the first and the youngest to get writing, directing, acting in a movie, and the studio RKO Pictures gave him full range and right to do everything, which caused a backlash in Hollywood because, no movie studio could ever do that or would ever do that for a young up-and-coming filmmaker. But they did. And if you don't know Orson Welles' story, look into it and read into it. And if you haven't seen Citizen Kane, please do so. I mean, it was a movie that came out in 1941, and for its time it was impactful, it was relevant for what was going on. And they say it's about William Randolph Hearst, so who knows? I mean, is Charles Foster Kane, the character of Citizen Kane, based on William Randolph Hearst? We don't know. And in this movie, it goes on to say that Mankiewicz was, inspired by it because he hung out with William Randolph Hearst. He hung out with his mistress in the movie that is played by Amanda Seyfried, and it's all based on those characters. Who knows? We don't know. And like I said, the CGI aspect on this movie was interesting. I'm pretty sure that the lighting in this movie was bright because in order to get a certain feel and look for black and white, you have to use studio lights very brightly in order to get that hue and saturation across. But now with updated filmmaking times and editing and certain ways of doing things, who knows how they did it. But Gary Oldman is stellar in this performance. He doesn't make a bad movie at all. He gives 100% in his roles, which is great. And seeing him alongside Charles Dance, Amanda Seyfried, and Lily Collins was really, really good. Lily Collins actually stood out on her own, which was great. And Amanda Seyfried is becoming one of the most sought-after actresses in Hollywood. And Charles Dance, how can you not love Charles Dance? He's been in the business for so long, and seeing him get movie roles left and right is great. And David Fincher is very underrated. He hasn't won an Oscar yet, and he should win an Oscar. I don't understand how he hasn't won one. And, he's made phenomenal films, and he should have been a 2-time Best Director winner by now in his career, and I am surprised that he's not. So for me, Mank gets 4 out of 5 stars. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought of this movie. If you've seen it, did you like it, did you not like it, and tell me why. And what do you think about Citizen Kane? Do you think it's the best movie of all time? And what do you think about Herman J. Mankiewicz and Orson Welles? Their rift between what happened and the writing credits and how the SAG and how the Writers Guild came about because of this happening. It's very interesting, and both of them did win an Oscar for original screenplay back in 1942 for Citizen Kane. Herman J. Mankiewicz and Orson Welles both won one. But Herman J. Mankiewicz is the one who actually wrote this script by himself, even though Orson Welles did some rewrites, but who knows what happened. And, hey, it's Hollywood. You can never understand what happens, even behind closed doors. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And that's a fact. Be sure you click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell for new videos on my channel. And you know where to follow Marchio Productions and me, Mr. Filmstock. I'll leave a link to all the social media accounts in the description box below. You guys can check it out and follow along. I'm Anthony. Thanks for tuning in.